There's a certain kind of person who never really learned how to ask for help. Not because they are strong, not because they don't need it, but because somewhere along the way, they learned that needing something was a burden. They learned to read the room before they could read a book. They learned to manage emotions, other people's emotions, before they even understood their own. If that sounds familiar, this is for you. Because what I'm about to describe isn't a personality trait. It's a wound, and it has a name. We live in a world that celebrates the mature child, the one who never cried, the one who understood, the one the adults could always count on. We call them old souls. We call them responsible. We call them wise beyond their years. But here is what we don't say out loud. A child who had to grow up too fast didn't choose wisdom. They chose survival. And there is a devastating difference between the two. Picture a home, not necessarily a violent one, not necessarily a poor one, just a home where the emotional weight was too heavy for the adults to carry alone. Maybe there was a parent who struggled with depression. Maybe there were constant financial arguments behind closed doors. Maybe one parent was absent, physically or emotionally. Maybe there was addiction, or illness, or simply silence. And in that home, there was a child who noticed everything, who felt the tension before anyone spoke, who learned very early that their job was not to be a child. Their job was to keep the peace, to be invisible when things were bad, to be helpful when things were worse, to smile when they were breaking. Psychologists call this parentification. It happens when a child is forced, consciously or not, to take on the emotional or practical responsibilities of an adult. And it doesn't require abuse to leave a scar. Sometimes all it takes is a parent who needed too much from someone who had too little to give. Carl Jung spoke about the concept of the false self, the version of us that was built not from our true nature, but from what we needed to become in order to be safe. For the parentified child, the false self is the caretaker, the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who holds it all together. And here is the cruel irony. That false self is often praised. It gets good grades. It gets compliments. It makes the adults feel better. So the child learns, this version of me is loved. The real me might not be. Over time, the authentic self, the one that wants to play, to be messy, to be needy, to be young, gets buried. Not destroyed, buried. And it waits. Attachment theory tells us that children need a secure base, a caregiver who says through their actions, you are safe. You don't have to earn your place here. But the parentified child never received that message. Instead, they received the opposite. Your safety depends on how well you manage my emotions. That rewires the nervous system. That changes the brain. Not metaphorically, literally. Now fast forward. That child is an adult. They are functional, maybe even successful. They show up. They deliver. They never complain. But look closer. They struggle to receive love without suspicion, because love, in their experience, always came with conditions. They feel guilty when they rest, because stillness was never safe. Stillness meant something was wrong. They attract people who need to be saved, because that is the only relationship dynamic they know how to navigate. They don't know what they want, because for so long, what they wanted didn't matter. They feel a strange, hollow exhaustion, not from doing too much, but from being someone they were never meant to be for far too long. And the most painful part, they often don't even know they're wounded, because the wound was normalized, because everyone told them they were strong. Strength was their cage. And they decorated it so beautifully that no one ever thought to open the door. I want you to sit with something for a moment. When was the last time someone took care of you? Not you taking care of them, not you managing the situation, just you being held. If that question made you uncomfortable, if your first instinct was to say, "I don't need that," that's the wound talking. Because somewhere inside you, there is still a child who is waiting for someone to finally say, "Put it down. You don't have to carry this anymore." And here's what I need you to hear. You were not born responsible. You were not born a caretaker. You were not born an adult. You were a child who had no other choice. And that child deserved better. They deserved to be seen. They deserved to be held. They deserved to be young. Healing from parentification is not about blaming your parents. Most of them were wounded too. Most of them gave what they had. It just wasn't enough for a child. Healing is about reparenting yourself. It starts with one radical act, letting yourself need something. Not performing need, not apologizing for need, just allowing it to exist. It means sitting with discomfort instead of immediately trying to fix it. It means noticing when you are managing someone else's emotions at the expense of your own. It means asking yourself in quiet moments, what do I actually want right now? Not what is needed, not what is expected. What do you want? That question might feel foreign at first. It might even feel selfish, but it is the most important question you will ever learn to answer. Because the child inside you never got to answer it, and they have been waiting a very long time. You grew up too fast. You carried things no child should carry. You became someone the world needed before you ever got to discover who you were. But here is the truth. It is not too late. The child is still there, quieter now, more patient, but still waiting. And healing doesn't mean going back. It means finally giving that child what they always deserved. Your presence, your compassion, your permission to rest. You are not broken. You are someone who survived something heavy, and surviving was never the end of the story. It was just the beginning.